If you're gonna grow something massive, you can't rush it. Sometimes what you're trying to do, it's not that it's not working, it's that it's just not working yet. You have to give it time. You need to do what you're already doing that's already working, and you need to do it better. Somebody who's committed is gonna do whatever it takes. You can't scale broken, so clean up what's broken. I am aware of my competitors, I look at my competitors, but the numbers I track every week are mine, and I try to outdo me. I could have all of that skill set, and if I didn't have the mindset, this wouldn't be working. I would rather have you do the big thing that's going to move the needle than a million little things.
My treat for you today is the last session of the entire event. I shared how we are growing so fast. We have now hit the Inc. 5000 fastest growing companies in America the last 2 years in a row. July, which is historically our second worst month of the year, we hit a record number in sales for the entire history of the company, almost 9 years old. We are on fire, and there are very strategic reasons we are on fire, and that is what you're going to get a taste of right now. I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and I hope it lights a fire underneath you when we are having such unstable times. Enjoy.
So I was just with some friends, and a lot of times when I'm sitting down next to somebody, right, sometimes they'll say, okay, just tell me what you're really doing. Like, tell me why the business is growing so fast. Like, it must be something you're not teaching, right? Like, what's the secret? So I was sitting down with my friend, and I was like, I don't hide things. I will tell you everything. I will share. So this isn't public knowledge yet. We're supposed to wait for like 2 more weeks, but I'll tell you. We just hit the Inc. 5000 fastest growing companies in America again for the second year in a row. Thank you. And our revenue grew, you have to turn in 3 years ago and then today, okay? So in a 3-year span, our revenue grew 500%. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so I wanna just share, like, how can we do that? What are we doing? Why can we grow so quickly? What strategies are we using? Okay, so I basically shared this all with my friend, and after that he said, that was good, that should have been a podcast. And I was like, thanks for saying it after I just, gave a 30-minute presentation. So on my way home, I was like brain dumping all of this, getting it all like kind of in order of what I was sharing and just some things I didn't think about and all of that. And I was like, ooh, this would be fun to do with you guys, okay? So I did this on Sunday, traveling home, and I wanna share like what it looks like specifically. So first of all, just to show some of you, to get on that list, you have to be at a minimum of 2 million in revenue, okay? And I want you to know that because when you hit 2 million in revenue, I wanna make sure you apply as well, okay? Those awards, people always say like, oh, you always get so many awards, or you have so many. You have to apply to get that stuff. Nobody's just handing me trophies on the sidewalk, right? Like, I have to actually apply. There are many things we apply for that we do not get, okay? So I do want you to understand you have to put your name in it to get even selected. So when you hit $2 million, then you have to submit 2 or 3 years worth of tax returns. And your CPA has to sign off that that is true. So it's a pretty legit system. But what I want to share is one of my friends who's been on it 3 years in a row, they didn't get it in this year, and she grew by 49%. That's a pretty impressive jump, and she didn't make the list. So I share this again because it's evidence of what's possible in this economy, in an election year, right? No matter what's going on, I want you to see people are winning, which means you can too, okay? So the big question I get is like, how are we doing this? What are we doing? All of this. So I'm gonna kind of break down what this looks like specifically. So Well-Oiled is going to be 9 years old in the fall, okay? My studio, we had the same story. We went from 17 kids in the backyard to, oh my goodness, I don't even know, like within 3 years we had 100 kids. And then we went from 100 to 300 to 500. Like we just kept growing and growing and growing. And people were asking me in the studio, how are you growing so fast? What are you doing? Okay. So why do I think I can build a business and grow really fast? Well, number one, I'm a quick action taker. That's huge. Some of you or you've had seasons of this where you're just not moving. You're not doing anything and you're like, I'm stuck. We're plateauing. We're not growing, right? But you're not really doing anything about it. You're just doing the same old, okay? You've got to move. You've got to try to get out of that rut. And the only way you're gonna do it is momentum and movement and action. And sometimes you're gonna try to get out of that rut and it's not gonna work. But you have to keep going and going and going until you finally get there, okay? So with that said, I do believe no matter what I sell, I can sell it pretty fast. If you're thinking, well, oil's, this and that's why you can do it, I think I can do it even in a little 5-mile radius with a $50 product at the time, okay? So with that said, I think I've always been pretty good at marketing. I knew I had to be good at marketing. Marketing is how you get clients. And I think for the most part, I was about 80% marketing and 20% sales. And what I realized in the last couple of years is you need to be 100% marketing and 100% sales. You need to know both strategies, both skill sets, okay? So I've said this a couple times already. I want you to get good at selling. I want you to get good at marketing. There is no option. You must do it, all right? If you want a business that runs without you, if you want a business that can scale and scale quickly, you need to know how to market and sell that thing. Now, I did the marketing and selling myself first before I ever outsourced it. I see a lot of people saying, I don't want to do that. I want to hire somebody. I want to bring in an agency, and I'm not a good marketer. I don't want to, okay? I wish I had saved the old postcards we would make for the studio. It was so bad, like so bad. I made them myself, okay? We had these door hangers, and I remember, I didn't know at the time, now you can pay somebody on Fiverr, just like clip out my body, and my body can be on any background. Well, I didn't have that. I didn't have that skill set. I didn't know how to do that. So we would take photos of dancers, with a background, and you would see the whole background. It would just be messy. And that was what we had on the postcard, right? And it was just in a normal font, because I'm not a graphic designer, and I put it out. But every time I would get better and better and better, and I would see other people, right? I would get inspired by them, like, oh, so you put a body in the center, or you put it off center and the words go there. Oh, right? I would start learning, I would start seeing. I would go to restaurants and I would see their postcards. I would get stuff in the mail. I just started to observe, right? So be observant when you're a consumer in the world, right? When you're walking into Target, what are you seeing? When you're walking into the grocery store, how are you experiencing it? What's the service like at a restaurant, right? Constantly be asking yourself what you like, what you didn't. We had the best waitress last night, and my first thought was, what job could I offer her? Like, she was so good that I was like, is she for the studio, or could I have her in Well Oiled? Like, I can't not think about the business when I'm out in the world, right? Start obsessing about that. Okay, so that was probably my biggest thing, is when I separated the marketing and sales, and I realized I have to really get this and get this good, okay? But more so than marketing and sales.
Hey, are you a business owner that's looking to not just increase their revenue, but actually have it positively impact your profit without you working more? Because let's be honest, there isn't any more time in the day. If so, I want to invite you to my free training called Protect Your Profit. I'm gonna be breaking down our 3-part well-oiled operations framework. We're gonna be going over the plan, the people, and the process. This training is completely free. We've already had over 100,000 small business owners join us, as this is one of our most popular trainings in You're in Luck, because we've got another one coming up very soon and it will be live. The strategy I'll share in this training is how we landed on the Inc. 5000 fastest growing companies in America list the last 2 years in a row. And I'll show you how to create a winning team of revenue generators, people that actually make you money, not cost you money, even if you don't think you can afford it. Go to welloiledclass.com and get registered for free. You'll walk away from this session with strategies you can actually implement and apply immediately, as well as I'll be gifting my 16-page hiring handbook, how to recruit, hire, and train top-tier talent. So come hang out with me and a few other 100 small business owners who are all looking to scale their business while scaling back their time. So get signed up for free at welloiledclass.com, or click the link in the show notes, and I will see you there.
I think one of my strong suits is my mindset, okay? So we used to have a program called Foot Traffic Formula, all right? So if you have not been in my world for 3 years, you would probably not have heard of it, but we had a program called Foot Traffic Formula, and it was a marketing program, which makes sense. I am a marketer. I know how to market. I was teaching people a marketing program, okay? Now, with that said, I was getting better at marketing and sales, but my conversion rates were starting to tank. And I really believe it was because the market was just getting more and more saturated. I was getting more and more competitors, and it was getting harder to stand out. So I had to look at this product that was already making almost $2 million and had to make a really hard decision of, are we really gonna move forward with this product that I can start to see it doing this? The product was getting better. The clients were getting better results, and I could just see the numbers going down. And that's a really scary decision when you're in a business and you're like, why isn't this working anymore? What do we do? Now, I could easily have just kept doing what I was doing and try to get better, right? And sit with it for way too long. We decided, okay, we need something new and we need to bring this out pretty quickly. So one of the biggest decisions we made was at the end of 2021, I said to the team, we need a new bestseller, right? Your bestseller is your most profitable product, program, or service. Sometimes I'm future like forecasting it. I'm saying, let's go make it. It hasn't made $1, but we need to find something new and we need to do it now. So we started to create the idea of Well-Oiled back in December of 2021. Now, here's how I picked it. Number one, whatever you try to sell, you have to have credibility in. You have to. It's gonna be so much harder to sell it without it. So sometimes you have to remember, what are we actually good at? What are we actually known for? Am I marketing that? Am I telling enough people about that? How can I put more emphasis on it? Okay? Number two, it needed to be a problem somebody already knew they had. If you're trying to convince somebody to do something they don't want to do, right? They don't want to buy. It's so much harder, okay? So there's this metaphor of basically there's two people drowning and one is swimming towards you and one is swimming away from you. Who do you go save? The one swimming towards you. You have a much higher chance you're going to be able to help them. Some of you are trying to catch the person running away from you. No, really, you want this. No, really, you need this. And they're like, I'm not interested. Like, how many of you get DMs and you're like, no, thank you. We don't even know each other. I'm not interested, right? You want to make sure you have credibility. Somebody knows they already have that problem, okay? And then for me, the big one was, how do I get out of a really saturated market and start to separate myself, right? And for me at the time, I was like, well, a lot of people teach marketing. There's some crazy statistics. If you went on Amazon right now and you typed in business marketing books, it will be thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of books. If you say business systems books, right? It's like this many compared to like this many, okay? So that was a huge sign. This is not as saturated as these other markets, right? And what I really liked about this is it's harder to become an expert in it because it takes a long time. And we only can teach it because we have the size team we have, right? So there were things where I thought, okay, it's not only not saturated now, I don't think it's gonna be saturated even in 10 or 20 years, right? So these were things I was thinking about. Now, here's what I want you to understand. For a few months, I was sitting on this idea, but I was just dreaming it up, right? We talked about yesterday, I'm going on walks, I'm in the shower, right? So when I thought of the name Well-Oiled Operations, it was at 2 a.m. in my bed, eyes open, and I was like, that's it. And I wrote the name down, right? It wasn't in my office, it wasn't, right? It's one of those moments where you just keep thinking and letting it soak in, right? And all of a sudden it will come to you, but don't rush it. Figure out what am I looking for and give it time. If you're gonna grow something massive, you can't rush it, right? So let it soak in. Now, here is where I say my mindset is super important. When we launched Well-Oiled, I think there was maybe 10 people that bought. Remember, at the time, I already had hundreds of clients. I had a pretty large following on Instagram, and only 10 people bought it. That's not that great, okay? I was definitely a little sad about that situation. And we went the next month and we tried to sell it, and the next month it was just a few. What happens is sometimes the feedback you get is not what you want, so then you say, it's not good. It's the wrong idea. Shoot, I shouldn't have done that. Okay, let's try something else. But I was so convinced that what I just said before, I have credibility. People out there know they have this problem, right? It's an underserved market. I was so confident in those three things. I'm like, I don't care. We're gonna keep figuring this out. So month 3 goes by, still not great. Month 4 goes by, right? Now we're heading into month 6, which is June. And June and July and August are not great for us. So now I'm trying to figure out how to sell this in a time that people don't typically buy, right? So we're chugging along, and basically in summer, we're having about 5 consultations a week maximum for well oiled. So this is the summer of 2022. So about 5 people max said, hey, can I learn a little bit more about your product? Because it was only 5, Sarah was the person that sold into the program. We didn't need a salesperson. Who's gonna wanna work for me when I'm like, well, some weeks you'll work 1 hour, and then some weeks you'll work maximum 5 hours. Nobody wants that job, right? Nobody. And by the way, we've been struggling selling the product. I mean, there's no salesperson that's gonna come work for me, okay? So Sarah's like, I'll take it on, and she learned to sell. So that was all summer long, up to 5 consults, okay? So one of my strategies, so I'm pretty defeated. I'm in month 8. I still cannot figure out how to sell this. How many of you would be around month 8 pushing hard like this is it? I know it, like I am positive. Not many people would do that, right? Now, the people that would are people in this room, I'm aware of that for sure, but not many normal, regular business owners are gonna still keep trying month 8. So I'm like racking my brain. And again, this is all mindset. This is me just talking myself up. So month 9, we prep in summer, and I said, okay, well, launching in August is not gonna help us. Why don't we prepare for a big launch in September? What am I good at? I'm actually really good at 5-day challenges. I have done so many 5-day challenges. It is like one of my things. And I was like, that's it. Let's just go back to the challenge. Let's do it in September. It's prime time. I know how to do a 5-day challenge. Let's do it. So I am putting lots of eggs in this basket. I am thinking this is the thing. We are in month 9. I had 3 people buy. And now it really hurt because I had spent money on Facebook ads and I didn't even make my money back, okay? So because I was going all in on this challenge, my friend who does challenges said, you know, one of the things we do at the end of our challenge is we do, because 5 days is a lot, not everybody can do 5 days, so we do a webinar the next week, and we do it to scoop up everybody that didn't have time to watch it. And I was like, okay, maybe I'll do that, because in my head I'm like, ooh, this is it. This is the thing that's gonna, you know, be my breakthrough. So I have my 5-day challenge, and the next week I have the webinar. So I do the 5-day challenge, 3 people buy, I'm literally in the hole, and I've got the webinar, and I am so down, so defeated. I'm thinking, why am I even bothering? Nobody wants this thing. I have not figured out how to sell it. I do the webinar, and 25 people within 10 minutes book a call to talk to my part-time salesman, who's now my full-time salesman, even though she has a real full-time job. Sarah is my operator, so that was a lot for her to all of a sudden have 25 hours of phone calls, right? So that thing just, it hit. And it's funny because it makes so much sense. My person is you. You're too busy to sit somewhere for 5 days and show up at a specific time, right? But if I'm like, hey, I can teach you really quickly in 60 minutes, you're like, maybe I could do that. So I just wasn't figuring out how to talk to my person quite yet. But because I did that for 9.5 months, I got the breakthrough I was looking for. Sometimes what you're trying to do, it's not that it's not working, it's that it's just not working yet. You have to give it time. But you also have to be confident. My confidence wasn't fake confidence. Like those 3 things I keep telling you, I knew those to be true. I knew those to be a fact. So where can you build your confidence from to keep going to get where you need to go? All right, so with that said, we started to do it over and over and over again. So I'm like, if it's working, we're gonna do it again. Now I know that sounds crazy, but I will tell you when I launched Well Oiled 9 years ago, the business, I sold something and I made good money with a mentor, and we did it once, and then I was like, now what should I do? And I never went back to her and did it ever again. So literally, my brain was not smart enough 9 years ago to say, oh, it worked, let's just do it again. My brain was like, that was awesome. Okay, now I'm gonna try to figure out how to do it again over here, right? So this time I said, no, we have a winner, we're gonna do it again. So I have done that Monday webinar since the middle of September 2022, that's almost 2 years ago. Every single week, I have never taken a week off. I have done it Christmas week, I have done it New Year's week. If it's Labor Day on a Monday, I do it on a Tuesday. I have never missed. And I want you to see this because that's almost 100 times, right? So why am I getting so good at selling? How many of you have sold the product, tested the product 100 times? Every week I get better, I get stronger, right? Consistency. You don't need a new shiny object. You need to do what you're already doing that's already working, and you need to do it better, okay? Now, with that said, sometimes, oh, my numbers are good. That can hurt you. So I'll ask somebody, okay, rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, how you're crushing, this. And whenever I see a 10, I go, oh man, he thinks he's a 10? That's a bummer. That really sucks for that person. If you think you're a 10 at anything, that means you are done trying to get better. I would never rate myself a 10 in any area of my life, ever, okay? So don't settle for good results. Don't settle for amazing results. Outperform yourself, okay? All right, so my question is, are you this committed to your dream even when you're not winning? Ask yourself that right now and answer honestly. Are you this committed? Somebody said, are you committed or are you interested? Somebody that's interested is like thinking about it, it sounds good. Somebody who's committed is gonna do whatever it takes. Are you committed? Okay? So, this is an interesting thing that I wanna talk about that I really struggled with last year. So for 9 months, I'm losing. Okay, I am not doing well. The business is not doing well. I'm just trying to recoup all of the money for this new program because I just scrapped $1 million product that I knew was not going to start. It's going to start tanking. What's really interesting is September is the big month that we're like, oh my goodness, this is working. And these numbers are a little skewed. I don't have them like memorized, but it was like September we made like 100 and something thousand that month, and then October it was like 200 and something thousand. And then November was 300,000 a month. Okay, now that sounds like, oh my goodness, that's so easy, that's so nice. It was the hardest time I have ever gone through in my life. Mentally, it was insane. Here is why. If you're like me, and a lot of you are, I want you to hear this. What happened was I started to get addicted to winning, and I started to put a lot of pressure on myself. And now I'm like, okay, so we just did 140,000, so we have to hit 140,000 next month. But then what would happen is we would get so close all month, and we would hit like 200. And then I'd be like, oh, we did it. And then it was like, oh shoot, it's November 1st, and now I have to do that again. But of course, I needed to be better than last month, so now I need to hit past 200. So every month it was like reset, and I kept having to do it, and it was messing with my mind. We had 7 record months in a row. Again, you're like, oh, poor you, Stacy. No, literally, I couldn't sleep. I was waking up every single night at 2 in the morning. That's how I know if I'm stressed, is I wake up at 2 in the morning. I was waking up every night. I was mentally going through it. And I had my mindset coach at the time was like, so what does it mean about yourself if we don't hit a record this month? And I was saying really bad things. Like, it means I'm not good. It means I'm not as smart. I'm losing it. What if this was just a fluke? What if it doesn't happen next month? Okay? It was harder for me to win than it was to lose. And some of you know exactly what I'm talking about. You are putting so much pressure on yourself. Okay? So thankfully, I know about mindset. I've studied it. I had a mindset coach. At that time, I was getting Master Coach certified. And that was probably what saved me, was to understand it's okay. And honestly, month 8, when we didn't hit the record, it was like the best thing that I needed for myself. To be like, oh, we didn't break a record and I'm fine. And the business is good and there was still profit and nothing bad happened. Like I needed to experience that you don't have to have a record every single time. Okay? Now, I'm winning. High. Holy cow, 2023 was insane. It was tiring, it was exhausting, but it was incredible. And then January comes and life, like the business catches up with the rocket ship that we were just on. And for the first 6 months of this year, we were not hitting records at all. And honestly, we were just like, things were breaking because we were at another level. We had 2.5 times our revenue from 22 to 23. So everything that was working in 23, it was like, oh, now we're this level. Oh, wait, we don't know how to do anything at that level, right? And it's just this constant up and down and up and down. So for the first 6 months of this year, we were really just like trying to get through it. Okay, this is breaking. How do we fix this? Now we have to go over here. Marketing is not working. Oh, shoot, our Instagram's shut down. We're just like gone off of Instagram, right? There were so many things that we were just like playing whack-a-mole, okay? Now, I will say month 7, I just told you, record month ever. Like this is a phenomenal month for us. It is because for 6 months, my team and I have been working our butts off, fixing things, right? I always say like you can scale, but sometimes you just need to sustain. And for 6 months, we sustained. We just caught up, fixed things, we cleaned up. And because we did that for 6 months, July was massive. August, I guarantee you, is close, if not surpasses. And I think September through December is gonna be insane. But we're ready for it. We would not, so if we went from December on the rocket ship and we just kept going Q1, Q2, we would all be dying. We would literally be dying. We wouldn't even know what to do or how to do this. But because we got to sustain for 6 months and clean up for 6 months and get a stacked leadership in place for 6 months, we have the right people, we can handle the craziness that's coming the 7th month to 12th month. Some of you are on the rocket ship and you're not getting off and you're burning out and you can't handle it and you're dropping balls, right? And you're starting to wonder, why am I even doing this? So there's sustaining and there's scaling. What season are you in? You can't scale broken. We were broken in January of 2024. We had to fix it. You have to slow down when you know you are in a sustaining season. It's hard to tell a go-getter, an action taker, a powerhouse, you guys, it's hard to tell you slow down. Take a minute, step back. Don't go that fast. You're not ready, right? You can't scale broken. So clean up what's broken. Are you guys getting this? Okay. So good. I love it, Jen. Okay, so couple things I want to share that are standing out to me of what's working, what's not. And I will listen to this myself after, if I go through this again and I'm like, back to basics. So number 1, the main offer we kept the whole time. I get so many ideas from you guys. What if you do this? Could you do this? Could you actually hire for me? Could you actually, like everybody has these ideas for what we could do, and they're good ideas, and we could do them. But we kept saying, not right now, not right now, not right now. So for 3 years, right, 2.5, 2 3/4, we have kept the main thing. Even what I just sold you yesterday, think about it. It's not a new product. It's when you renew the main thing. It's still well-oiled. It's how do we sell more of well-oiled? How do we make well-oiled better? So keeping the main thing means our marketing is focused on one thing. Our sales team is focused on one thing. Customer success is focused on one thing. When you have 17 things, you're like, okay, are we sharing Instagram? Are you promoting music today, and are you promoting dance tomorrow? And then when's acting happening? It's hard, right? So you really have to ask yourself, what is our one thing? How do we get that so well-oiled? When you get it well-oiled, you've earned the opportunity to add something. Make sense? I'm not saying have one product for the rest of your life. I'm saying get the one thing going before you try to sell 4 things. It's really, really difficult. So that's number 1. Number 2, we never settled. We always try to outperform ourselves. So I am aware of my competitors. I look at my competitors, but the numbers I track every week are mine. And I tried to outdo me, okay? Are you tracking your numbers? Are you trying to beat them? Or are you so focused on your competitors, you don't even know what's going on in your own business, right? I see that sometimes. They're like, okay, well, they just launched this thing last week, so what are we gonna do to launch it? It's like, hold up. Let's not get sidetracked by them. Let's focus on what we're doing, and let's get better at the thing we're doing. Okay, number 3. I leaned into sales. I learned sales. I built the sales team. I became the sales manager. Then I hired somebody to manage sales. Okay? Those stages are really, really important. I really disliked sales not that long ago. I asked my mentor many times, can I please hire a sales manager? I would ask him this every quarter. And every quarter he would say, not yet, not yet, not yet. And I was like, why can't, can I please? I really think I need a sales manager. Nope, not yet. And what they were doing is they were trying to get me to be a sales machine. They wanted me to know how to sell, how to manage the team. And that is why they kept having me stay there, okay? So again, if you're like, I don't wanna do it, I didn't wanna do it either. I did not wanna do it either, okay? But sometimes you need to like eat the vegetables, you need to work out, even when you don't want to. And that's what this has been. Okay, number 4. And this kind of goes hand in hand with outperforming yourself. So investing in experts who can do these things better than me. So there is this like guy, they call him the webinar guy. And obviously he's very good at webinars. So I hire him to look at my webinar and tell me, how can I make it better? So we get on a call and he says to me, it's actually very good. Usually when people hire me, it's not good and they're trying to have me fix it, but yours is working and it's working really well. So number 1, I love that he said this, we need to be very careful before I start telling you how to do a webinar when you have a webinar that's working. And I say this because sometimes, he was like such a great mentor, because sometimes mentors come in with an ego and they're like, nope, you're doing it wrong, you need to do da-da-da-da-da, right? And it's like, but wait, what if your thing actually is working, right? And you shouldn't be shiny object syndrome listening to somebody else. Sometimes mentors will break your stuff because it's not their way, right? And you want to be very, very careful that you don't like stand up for yourself. If I ever tell you something and you're like, oh, but what about this? Say it. But Stacy, did you know this? But Stacy, do you know that this is our data? Like, fight for yourself, because sometimes you will get very bad advice and you have to be really, really careful. So here's what's cool, is he said to me, I don't think I can just like triple your webinar. I think it's pretty good. But maybe I can get you 5 extra consults or 10 extra consults, and you do this every week. So it could be a significant amount. Like, I'm sure you're gonna get an ROI on my time for an hour, but I just wanna set really realistic expectations, okay? So here's what's so cool. Do I have this down here? So we hired him, immediately put it into place, immediately, like that weekend. The next 4 webinars are like crazy number webinars because of a few key things he told me, okay? Sometimes you're afraid like, do I wanna pay for this? Do I wanna do this? But if it can condense time, if it can speed it up, do it. Do it, do it, do it. So like every really successful person I know has a coach. They are learning from somebody, okay? It is very rare that I would meet somebody at millions and millions of dollars a year and they haven't had a mentor. It's very rare, okay? So find the person you need and the skill set you need, all right? I did get really, really bad advice from a coach this year. I don't always make good investments, but I always learn from them, okay? And I hired a coach, and she actually looked at my business model and she said, this is not scalable. It's not good. This business is, you're not gonna be able to scale this. You will not go bigger than what you are. And she wanted me to like cut all this stuff out. And again, it was like, my gut was saying this is wrong. And here's why I can say that. I've seen lots of people with my model bigger than me. So why is it not scalable? What is the evidence it's not scalable? You need to be strong enough, smart enough to be looking around and say, hold up, bad advice. Like, no, that absolutely isn't true. Here's what I can see. Okay, now, last thing I want to share on mindset. I did a webinar a month ago maybe, and all of a sudden, webinars are so scary because tech can break at any moment. Like, I just pray my camera comes on and my mic works and all of that. So I'm on a webinar, and all of a sudden, they're saying to me, I think through text message, we can hear you, but we can't see you, and your slide is stuck. And I'm on slide 7. I might be like 3 minutes into this webinar, okay? I can't see if anybody's watching. I can't see if they're still there. I can only make assumptions, okay? So wouldn't you assume that if I'm all of a sudden gone, there's clearly tech issues, I'm talking about it, I'm like, can you see me? Can you hear me? Okay, you can't, let me reset. It's not working. I'm assuming everybody's leaving, okay? When you assume everybody's leaving, how do you show up? Not great. It's in your tone, you just sound discouraged, you're rushing, you're like, I might as well get through this, like nobody's even on here. Like, I might as well just wrap up. Why am I sitting here for an hour and a half, right? And that's the kind of stuff, when you make assumptions, when you assume, you hurt your business. So what I said was, I'm gonna play in my head, I'm like, I'm playing full out. I don't care if I got one person left watching me. She's telling me people are still here. I'm gonna go. And I am gonna do it to my best of my ability, okay? Right now we're booking like about 100 consults on a webinar, okay? This was like 4 or 5 weeks ago. I booked 65 consults with no camera, stuck on slide 7 for an hour and a half. Okay, now, if we looked at the data, and I'm booking 100 and I just booked 65, should I be happy? No, right? Like, that kind of sucks. Like, I hate that the tech didn't work. I hate that happened. I hate that we lost that many consults. My mindset, here's what I said. I am good. Like, oh my goodness. Slide 7, and I got 65 people. She said to me at one point, 274 people were still there when you were pitching. And I'm like, this is crazy, right? And then 65 were like, I don't even care that we didn't even see the slides, I'm in. So my mind, like, I have to talk, like, you might think, oh, she's so arrogant, or oh, like, what an ego. You need it. You have to. You can't, like, beat yourself up. If you're gonna be this mean to yourself, like, it's not gonna work, right? So I am just like pumped up, hyped up. I am like raving about myself in my head. When is the last time you did that for yourself? Like, you were amazing. Oh my gosh, that's incredible. Can you believe it? I always say to myself, like, there was a time when I wish I could get 65 consults. Like, there was a time when I wish I could hit fill in the blank, right? Something you're not happy with today, there was a time you would have begged for that. There was a time where you would have said, I would do anything for that number. Don't forget that. Because that's the kind of stuff that makes me go, let's just try it again. Let's just try it again, right? And that's the kind of stuff that happens. So don't make assumptions, okay? One last assumption story, real quick, is, I'll share these exact numbers. So sometimes my numbers are different because my Facebook ad cost changes, right? So if I spend the same amount of money every week I have a different number of attendees because I paid a different price, okay? So, of course, I'm trying to break my record every week, right? So, all right, I find out Monday morning I have 200 less people coming to my live training. So my brain says, less consults, right? 200 less people, less consults, okay? So I go on a walk and I'm hyping myself up because my brain is saying, you're gonna do worse today than last week, right? Who wants to hear that? Oh, it's not gonna be that good, right? It's already August 1st tomorrow and we would have had more people sign up by now, so that means it's not gonna be that good, right? And we start like downplaying this. So I go on my walk and I'm like, well, number one, it doesn't matter what happens, even if one person's there and I change their life, like that to me is good. And I know I can do that with one person, no matter what room I'm in, right? So I'm like, doesn't matter. But in my head, I'm still like thinking, I'm obviously gonna be less. I'm telling myself, oh, it's gonna be bad, but if one person's there. But I'm like, what if I just do better today? What if my energy is so good that people are like, yes, I need to be in this, right? Or what if this? So again, I'm like pumping myself up. Now what's crazy is we just had a crazy show up rate. 25% of people came instead of 20. So it actually didn't matter that there were 200 people less, okay? I also booked the highest number percentage of people live that decided to book. So I outperformed with 200 less people registered. Why can I do that? Because I can reset my mind and tell myself, it's fine, we're good. I can do this. Most people don't. They say, what? Why did we get 200 less people? What is going on? Who can I blame? What's with the Facebook ads manager? Who do we need to talk to? And you have such a bad energy about you, and then you guys try to like go to your front desk and sell the next person. And that energy is coming right through, right? You're irritated, you're angry, you're frustrated, your employees feel it, your clients feel it. You're not resetting, okay? You need to reset. All right. So yes, there is skill involved, 1,000%. But do you see how I could have all of that skill set, and if I didn't have the mindset, this wouldn't be working? It wouldn't. There's no way. You have to have both. You have to have both. It's so incredibly important. Okay. I know it sounds simple. And maybe it doesn't sound simple. I don't know. In my head, I'm like, ugh. But if you want to know, like, how are we growing so fast? It's putting equal attention on skill set and mindset. I want to ask you, where are you putting your attention? Is it just skill set? Maybe you're a little bit more mindset, right? Sometimes people can be very like woo-woo, right? And they're just like trying to manifest. And it's like, but are you getting better at the things you need to get better at, right? You really do need both sides of this.
Our next one is planned for January. If you're a current well-oiled member or you're in our Powerhouse Mastermind, you get to attend free. Our theme for the next one is called Profit Surge. And it's going to be just like what you can imagine with the word profit in it. We're going to get control. We're going to take back control of our finances. And that's what's coming up in January. So stay tuned for that. But something huge and new that we just announced is we're actually going to be doing an encore of our July event. So if you missed it or you wanted to go, but the July dates didn't work, DM us on Instagram at Stacy Tuschl events, and our team will share with you the new upcoming events we're going to be having.